She has nice fabric.
All right, you've got your pattern all marked and ready to go. There should be no issues with cutting it apart, right? Right. So, ignore the fact that I don't have my straight of grain lines on here, but we're going to do that. I'm going to cut it anyway. The reason I had you requested that you made 3 copies is because we are going to have 3 different colors of fabric, and no way am I letting you cut 10 layers at a time. You're going to split that at least into 2 groups of at the most 5, okay? The reason being, we have enough distortion going on already just by tracing a pattern and tracing it 3 different times. I bet you couldn't lay one on another and it'd be exactly the same. So we've already got some distortion going on. You're going to then, layering fabrics, as you're cutting, starting off the edge of one of your set of fabrics. Let me do it with a piece of fabric. There we go. As you start to cut, and you're going to be cutting very odd angles. As you move your cutter along and you've got 5 or 6 of these, that fabric can shift, okay? Be aware that you need very good pressure perpendicular to your ruler, not, flat out like this, perpendicular to your ruler to get the best cut possible. And even then, things are going to shift. Okay, so we're just looking at, I'm just mentioning points in order for you to get the best result possible. And it starts right here again. I have 2 paper blades with me, so anybody can take one of those paper blades and then switch it if you've just put a nice new blade in your cutter. You don't want to use that on paper. If you've got a dull blade right now, whip away, and then it goes to paper.
Do you have extra blades?
I have extra blades. I have 2 paper blades specifically. Like when a blade goes dull, save it.
Yeah.
Put it back in the case and designate a case that's just for paper blades. Because it happens. I mean, you do need to cut sometimes. All right.
I have extra paper blades.
We're going to slice. Now, again, don't be sloppy here. Perpendicular to the ruler, because you're now working on paper which has absolutely no grip on your ruler at all. All right, and we're going to slice along. I like to do all the outside edges of my pattern first, because then I can work inward. Okay, on the line, give yourself the best advantage you can. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I was doing this, I'm Miss Hotshot here. So I went ahead, grabbed my thing. I didn't pay attention at all. Boom, off the side. And I wanted to, it took me some effort to get back into line on that piece. And at one point I just drew a whole new pattern. So really pay attention. This is not the time to be chatting with your neighbor, okay? And you will notice that oh, not bad. If you check your corners and make sure that you have registration marks on both sides, you've done a good job of tracing, okay? We want this square. Okay, now, these types of patterns are generally built in such a way that there is at least one seam that will cross from side to side. Okay? Or they can combine 3 pieces in a particular order that will then create a way to go on a straight seam. Okay, that's how these patterns are made. So
Cut your long lines first.
cut your long lines that are free of any cross seams first. So I'm taking this piece off. And you'll notice you can see those marks that you've made. All right? your important cross seam or matching notch marks. And boom. My next cut could be the trunk. And what I did when I was working on my first piece was any piece that had to be on a grain, I separated it into one pile, okay? And we might as well try and put the trunk on grain, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. That would be good.
Yeah, it's a nice straight piece, so. And really only the tree pieces and a couple of others have no straight of grain. And cut, and so on and so on. You get the idea, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you end up with a handful of pattern pieces. We've got, I think I just shuffled them under somewhere. Okay, so we've got,
These are them.
oh, sorry. So I got tree pieces, there's a straight of grain. Even that little straight of grain, I'm going to try and maneuver that into position on the edge of my fabric. Straight of grain, tree, and so on and so forth, okay? You get them all. Yeah. Let's not mix up my shoe. I had you make 3 of these as well because we're working with 3 different colors. Okay?
So straight of grain and tree,
Yeah.
or other.
Or other. There's one other piece I think that doesn't have any. Oh, there's the piece that I sliced wrong. So, okay.
So are we cutting all 3 sheets?
You are. I would cut 1 sheet at a time. Okay, just so that you don't.
Get crazy?
And because your registration marks are particular for that 1 page, yes, cut that and then deal with 1 color of fabric. Okay. All of your fabric, I would like you to set a straight of grain line. So you're going to hang those fat quarters as we would yardage, which means that we would take a piece that looks like that and we would slide them together and oh, there we go. We fell right in line.
Even though those top edges aren't salvageable.
Yes, every time you get a fat quarter, at least one of your edges will be a salvage edge. They always do that. Okay? You get a salvage edge on every fat quarter so that you can do this. Take a very small piece off of the end to get your straight of grain. I've got a registration mark just up to the fold. Okay, we're going to cut that off. Whew. Okay, and then from that, we can get another straight edge using the cut we just made on grain. So this is going to be another time consuming aspect of your fabrics, all right? We're going to get 2 straight of grains. We do that 30 times. Okay, then you're going to layer them. And let's just take my grouping here, for example. So here's my greens. Thank you, Anna. Okay, and I have 2 straight edges on each of my fat quarters or whatever. Oh, and here's, look at, I bought these fabrics in 2 different locations. This is a fat quarter in one store. This is a fat quarter in another store. So
Go back to the store here.
yeah, exactly. I will go back to that store.
Same with our Campbellford fabrics. When I was doing that
Mine are all
the other day, you know, you pile them all on top, and some are.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, mine
a
are
fat
different,
quarter
and they're all
is
from the same store.
15 by
Yeah.
22.
yeah,
Well,
approximately.
she cut them for us.
Yeah.
I even got
So-
different sizes in the same
I
store.
love this.
Yeah, well, we had them all
Yeah.
cut in Campbellford, and
Mine are different.
yeah.
So I would put your narrowest pieces on top. Oh, those are the same. Okay.
Can we just do 4 at a time?
You can do
Val?
whatever you like, whatever you're comfortable
Yeah,
with.
I
Do
think
whatever you're
so.
comfortable with. Okay? I want you to do the best you can to line up one straight edge, keeping your shortest pieces on top so that you know how much you've got to work with. Okay? And on the bottom, pretend I did that right. Okay? And this is how I worked. I took all of my pieces that needed to be on the straight of grain and I worked them across my edge. Now, the easiest way to do that is to lay my ruler on, and I think I went a 1/2 inch off the edge. And then I would just slip this on, lay it down, press. Okay? Even if I just pressed a little bit in the center to set it into place.
With an iron.
With an iron. We press with an iron. Oh, sorry, Kathy. Then I would take the next piece. And I actually did take some time and puzzle piece this really well because I don't like to waste fabric. So I did take some time making sure that I had a 1/2 inch between any adjoining pieces here so that I can cut a 1/4 inch up the line. Now, it's your choice. If you just want to lay things down and not be bothered with sort of creating this kind of situation, that's fine. You do what you're happy with. Okay, at least a 1/2 inch away from my other piece, and so on and so forth. And I glued them down, or pressed my freezer paper to the fabric. With me so far? We're leaving space for seam allowance. The pattern did not call for this step at all. As a matter of fact, it claimed that there were seam allowances in some of the pieces and not in others. Great. Which is not even nowhere to be seen on the pattern, okay?
So what are you doing, a 1/2 inch, Val?
A 1/2 inch
Me?
between pattern pieces, and
So you have your 1/4 inch.
yeah, so I have 2 1/4 inch seams available to me. You can even give
So
yourself
that
a
it
little bit
looks
more room.
like
Yes, I'm now bringing that over. Okay.
this.
Yes. So now you have a bunch of this on your fabric, and you now need to cut it. Again, I used my little 1x6 a lot for this purpose, okay? Because, and if you're on a space where we have the ability to move around our table, woo, bonus. I didn't have that in my sewing room. But you want to ensure that you cut, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance around every edge of every piece.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
You lay it on. Okay.
I can just see myself cutting
I
along.
can
Well,
see
you're going
myself
to
making
see
all
all
kinds of
disaster
mistakes.
in this.
I can see
Yeah.
myself making a couple of mistakes. I might put a sign and lay it there
So,
and watch that.
So on the bottom of the trunk, we don't leave.
there. Oh my gosh, Val made a mistake.
You forgot the
I forgot the 1/4
quarter.
inch at the
We
bottom.
do.
On the
Okay.
bottom.
You're going to have
Yeah.
a shorter
I'm
trunk.
gonna have a short trunk.
Oh, well.
Val, you said this is 1/4 inch, but we're going to cut a 1/2 inch.
No, 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 no.
Between pieces.
She left
Half an
I
inch
left
between
1/2
pieces.
inch
So there's a
between
1/4
pieces.
and a 1/4.
Okay.
Yeah, and I left a 1/2 inch on my edge just to make sure
That
that
you've got the bottom.
that I've got the bottom edge.
Some of these are short.
So,
Yeah.
thanks for putting that one on the table.
I didn't know though that we could do that.
So
Somebody will- I'll
here
probably
is a
do it.
piece
I would have done it.
that had
See me doing it.
some angles to work with.
Why do you have brackets there?
That was my straight edge, straight of grain marking on this
Oh.
one. I just being very
Okay.
curvy. You know, Val's a pretty curvy girl.
Yeah.
Say that again.
And the phone's gonna
And bend down like this while you're doing it.
I'll take some more of those.
Now, is there a reason why you didn't do straight of grain on the pieces that are not around the 4 edges?
I mean, I did. In a sense, I did, because when I placed them in, I tried to get one edge on the straight of grain. But for the sake of saving fabric, I didn't, you know,